Welcome back to the Richard Sherman podcast. Heading into week 11, it's been incredible. A lot of games, a lot of upsets, a lot of things that you weren't expecting, like Brian Daboll getting fired. Now, some Giants fans may be like, hey, I was expecting this. But from the outside looking in, I was not. I thought they had found some stability at quarterback, some stability offensively. They were really aggressive and attacking defensively. They started to build winning habits, but some of these games they lost. The 4 double-digit leads that they had that ended up being losses were always going to be a red herring and a red flag. But I thought they would give Daboll another season, a full season with Jackson Dart. He looks like the future of the franchise. But Mara decided to move on from him. And he says, the past few seasons have been nothing short of disappointing, and we have not met our expectations for this franchise. That's what Mara and Steve Tisch said Monday in a joint statement. We understand frustration of our fans, and we will work to deliver a significantly improved product. So how does Joe Schoen survive this? You can debate Daboll's firing and was it timely? Usually the Giants don't do it in season, but they did. But I don't understand how Joe Schoen survives this. If you're firing Daboll, then he has to go too. The guy who allowed Saquon Barkley to walk out of the building and go help a division opponent, a division rival, become a Super Bowl champion. He walked out of the building and became the offensive player of the year. The guy who lets him go, that's a fireable offense. And then, sure, you found somebody solid at running back. Sure, I could debate that, but he's not Saquon Barkley. And Saquon's having not a little bit of a down year this year, but he's still Saquon Barkley. And the guy who drafted Evan Neal and Jalen Hyatt and passed on Micah Parsons to draft Kadarius Toney, he survives? That's what I don't get about this. I wonder if Mara is really evaluating this entire thing in totality, because those are huge mistakes, glaring mistakes. Letting Saquon walk and then having it on film about the process that you went through, which was ridiculous and short-sighted, and saying, hey, we're going to continue to let this guy manage our franchise. You're not going to improve. You're not going to improve. The same guy that wasn't so sure about Jackson Dart and said, hey, Brian Daboll, this is your pick. This is your guy. And Brian Daboll said, yes, this is my guy. I'm putting my neck on the line for him, and I want this pick. That guy. But now he's getting credit for Jackson Dart. Calling me stupid, because I don't get it. I don't get how you expect to move forward and improve when you're saying, hey, Brian Daboll isn't the answer, but Joe Schoen is. He's not, and that's clear. If we judge by nothing else but him letting Saquon Barkley, a franchise pillar for the New York Giants, walk out the building, then I don't know what else to say, you guys. I really don't. Because imagine if you had Jackson Dart, Saquon Barkley, maybe an elite receiver or two, maybe Micah Parsons instead of Kadarius Toney. I don't know. Things may look a little different in New York, but again, let Joe Schoen keep his job. Doesn't seem to make sense. I understand why you would fire Daboll. The record is 20-40 with one tie. Hasn't had a winning season since his first season where he won Coach of the Year. You can justify that. I cannot see how you justify keeping Joe Schoen, but who am I? I'm just a humble servant. The Philadelphia Eagles defeat the Green Bay Packers 10-7. What's up with these primetime 10-7 games? Our game was 10-7 between the Raiders and the Broncos 10-7, and then you got the Eagles and the Packers 10-7. I don't get it, but great defense. I do appreciate great defense, and there was some great defense played in this game. Multiple turnovers forced by the defense in the red zone with teams going to score. But the conversation and the questions in this game are quarterback play. And you look at both offenses, and both offenses struggled mightily. Both defensive lines got after the quarterback. got after the run game. They were stout. But building these teams and paying these quarterbacks $50+ million and not expecting, not expecting elite play from them. I think Jalen Hurts played a good game. I thought his touchdown to Devontae Smith was beautiful, pinpoint pass, dime. But he struggled a lot of this game as well, and against a good Packers defense, a good Packers front that put pressure on him all day. He was under a ton of duress. But if a team ever allows me to be part of decision making or in somebody's front office and let you have GM Sherm, I'm not paying a quarterback $50 million unless he's a difference maker. And there are only maybe 5 to 6 difference makers in this league. And I always want to say 1 or 2 of them are getting paid over $50 million. I think Dak's a difference maker. Whatever you think of him, cool, we can disagree. I think Burrow's a difference maker. He's making $55 million, justified. I think Josh Allen is a difference maker, making his money, justified. I think Lamar is a difference maker, making his money, justified. I think the Patrick Mahomes, difference maker, no question about it. Guys that take their team to the next level. And then there's a tier of guys that I think are good players, potentially get into the realm of great players. And that's Jalen Hurts. That's Justin Herbert. Let me go through this list. I think CJ Stroud, especially with, he's got to come down to earth this year. Jaden Daniel can be put in that category. I think Brock Purdy's in that category. He's been injured this year, so we haven't seen a lot of him. But Baker Mayfield for sure is in that category. Stafford is I'd put him in the elite category and saying if he got $50 million, he'd be damn worth it. I think Drake May is starting to flirt with that conversation of elite difference maker, but we don't have enough yet to really give him that. I think Jordan Love can be good and rarely flirts with the elite. And I think the Green Bay Packers got stuck in a situation where they felt like they had to pay him top money or he's going to walk. But I don't think everybody in the league would have been lining up to go after Jordan Love like they think. And I think franchising him might have been a better option. But who am I? It is what it is. I think at the end of the day, you have to understand that when you pay a quarterback that kind of money, the expectation's high. The criticism is high. And for the Green Bay Packers, I've said this already, you're only going as far as your quarterback will take you. So it doesn't matter if your defense holds the reigning world champions to 10 points if you can only score 7. And Josh Jacobs had made a mistake in the game, made a couple mistakes in the game, and he's your bell cow. He scored a touchdown, but he had the fumble at the end on the 4th down. He went the wrong way on a critical 3rd down, looking over his inside shoulder, and instead of just going left and doing a normal check down option to the left. And Jordan Love threw it to where he thought he was going, and he wasn't there. But there are people, fans of the Green Bay Packers, that are calling for Matt LaFleur's job. I just got to think that's insane. And yes, is he above criticism? Nobody. No, he's not. He can be criticized. Was the play calling spectacular throughout this game? No. They ran the ball probably more than they should have. The Eagles defensive line had answers. They were stout. Nakobe Dean was running through. They probably should have went a different direction. But to say you want the head coach fired, that same head coach that's taken you to numerous NFC championship games, immense success, the winning record speaks for itself. I keep hearing, 10 wins every single year for the Green Bay Packers. And you thinking, hey, if we got rid of Matt LaFleur, things would improve? They would improve? You've lost your mind. You have went outside your mind. Is he perfect? No. No perfect, no coordinator. No coach is. Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. Is he perfect? No. Mike Macdonald is having a phenomenal season with the Seattle Seahawks. Is he perfect? No. Andy Reid has been to 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. Is he perfect? No. Nobody is. Can they all be better? Are they all above criticism? Nobody is. So saying, hey, Matt LaFleur, be more creative with the run game. That's a fair assessment. That's a fair evaluation and criticism. But to say, hey, Matt LaFleur is somehow letting this quarterback down, letting Jordan Love down, that's an asinine statement. That's an asinine thought process. Because I would say the reason Jordan Love has been as successful as he is, and the reason he's had the success and gotten open receivers, every time you look up and see Jordan Love drop back, hit that back foot, loft a pretty pass long down the field to a wide open receiver, understand that was schemed. I've heard Green Bay Packers fans say, we got really good receivers, but we have nobody great. They're not bad, but they're not great. So if you're saying that's the case, these are good receivers. I think Christian Watson flirts with great sometimes, that incredible speed. He has to stay healthy to really showcase, and he needs more targets. But I think the reason Jordan Love has the success he has is because LaFleur makes it easy for him. And what LaFleur understands is that in order to make it easy for Jordan Love, you have to run the football. And you have to be committed to running the football. Now, regardless of how committed you are and how committed you want to be, if the offensive line cannot block them, it's not going to look great. And they could not block the Philadelphia Eagles. That was clear. That was apparent. But that does not mean you go away from the run game, because when you do that, you put your quarterback in danger. You put your offensive game plan in danger. You even put your defense in danger, because you can't run the clock. You can't stay on the field long enough. You can't give them a break. So that's part of the strategy. That's why great run game is a part of every plan of a Super Bowl champion. Every Super Bowl champion, just about, and I'm sure you can find exceptions, has found a way at times to be able to lean on their run game to get them through. Not that they don't have excellent passers. They have to have them. And not to say those run games succeed in the actual Super Bowl. But to get there, that has to be a big part of it. That's part of the plan. That has to be part of the defensive preparation, et cetera, et cetera. So, sure, he can be criticized, but to say he needs to be fired is silly. And I think people don't understand that their success is merit. Their success is merit. I don't know if Jordan Love is as successful as he is without Matt LaFleur. And I've seen Matt LaFleur be successful, but he had a Hall of Fame quarterback before. And he went to multiple NFC championship games with Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers won 2 MVPs. So they were successful together. He's successful with Jordan Love. We have never seen Jordan Love without Matt LaFleur, so I don't know if he'll be successful or not. But it's the same way I feel about Tua Tagovailoa and Mike McDaniel. I think they're married. I think they're a package deal. You get rid of Mike McDaniel, and the only difference is we've seen Tua Tagovailoa without Mike McDaniels. We saw him with Brian Flores. He was not the player he is right now. And sure, you develop, you get better, you improve, you learn, you develop, and you learn the process more. But I think Mike McDaniel has unlocked Tua Tagovailoa and the best version of him. Sure, he's not having the greatest season this year, having a down year. But if you take Mike McDaniel away, I think Tua Tagovailoa isn't the kind of player that can play for any coordinator, any coach. I don't think he can have success with anybody. I think there needs to be a system around him that supports his strengths, that plays to his strengths, and allows him to process the way he processed, to play with anticipation and timing like he does. And I'm sure that's true for every quarterback. But there are some quarterbacks that can overcome that. But I just don't like the notion that Matt LaFleur needs to be fired to allow the Green Bay Packers to take the next step. That's just not true. And that's not realistic, and that's not real. But a huge win for the Philadelphia Eagles. That defense looks like it's finding its way. They had 3 sacks in this game, held the Packers to 261 yards and a season-low 7 points and 9 drives. They had more drives than they had points. They had that fumble recovery, which was a big-time play in this game that took points off the board, took even a potential field goal off the board, and what ended up being a 3-point game. That was huge. Give them a lot of credit. Give Vic Fangio a lot of credit because I told people this. When you have teams that you've played against in the playoffs, you have an immense preparation for them. You have a longer than usual preparation. You know them like the back of your hands. You studied 16, 17 games of film to understand that team. So when you see them again the next season, it's not that much different unless the coach has been fired and usually playoff teams, coaches aren't getting fired. So you know them fundamentally. And that's what you saw today. And I think a part of Matt LaFleur's strategy was, hey, I saw Jordan Love throw 3 interceptions last year in a loss to the Philadelphia Eagles in the wild card. I'm not going to put him in that position again. When we have our opportunities versus the coverage versus favorable coverage, we're going to go for it. And they did. There were a couple of drops. There were a couple big plays that were negated by penalties. There was obviously the Josh Jacobs going the wrong direction. Sure, no question about it. But you got to overcome it. And that's what you're paid to do. I'm sorry. We're in a world where you can't criticize anybody. Hey, oh, poor guy. He needs the circumstances to be better. No, they were perfect. If he was a rookie on a rookie deal, you'd say, hey, he's just a rookie on a rookie deal. Like, man, the guys around him have to do better. But when you get that money, the blame shifts. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. Things will never be the same. That's just the way it is. Oh, yeah. Type stuff. You got to understand that, Green Bay Packers fans. Philadelphia Eagles fans, this was a good win. I know Philadelphia Eagles fans are mad about winning, losing, mad when they win the Super Bowl. If it ain't the way they thought it should have been, they were calling for their coach to be fired in the year that they won the Super Bowl. So you guys are just as angry as anybody. I'm sure this win didn't feel great, but they won ugly against a really talented Super Bowl contending team on the road. That's a big win. Now, the concerns about Jalen Hurts continue. They continue. 15 for 26, 183 and a touchdown. That's going to leave some criticism. This game could have easily been lost. The Green Bay Packers could have easily beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and nobody would have batted an eyelash at it. My guy, Keyshawn Nixon, made a huge play for the Green Bay Packers, forcing a fumble on Jalen Hurts, a mistake you cannot have in a game like this. And that gave them a chance. Again, took points off the board for the Philadelphia Eagles, but they won. They're 7-2. At the top of the NFC, I mean, the Rams got a case, the Seattle Seahawks, but they're in a race for the top of the NFC. And you got to feel good about them. The Eagles have another big NFC test next week against the Detroit Lions. That'll be a fun contest. The Lions have kind of been up and down, but that'll be a good battle of two good offensive lines. I think the Eagles defense has the advantage on that side of the football. I don't think the Detroit Lions are as talented defensively as the Philadelphia Eagles, but I think they have all the weapons offensively to have a big game. The Packers have the Giants. That should be a win for them, especially with Jackson Dart potentially out with that concussion. They just fired their coach, but you got to be careful in those games. Those are trap games where a team just fired their coach and now they play with this crazy enthusiasm for 1 week and crazy energy, and then they mess around and get a win. Or like the New York Jets when they traded away all their players and then they play super hard and get a win that you're not expecting them to get. But again, this was the fun game to watch. The trend continues and the concern continues for the Green Bay Packers. The wins look fantastic, but in these losses, the defense has given up, I think, 16, 7, and 13, 16 against the Carolina Panthers, 13 against the Cleveland Browns, 10 to the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're Jeff Hafley, you feel great about that. You feel great about holding the Philadelphia Eagles to 10 points. If you're Matt LaFleur, you feel frustrated about what this offense is doing. And it starts up front, but the criticism is obviously trickling down to the head coach. You got to get it fixed. Hopefully they get it fixed. Now, to the question everybody's been wanting to answer. Richard, what are your power rankings going to be this week? Well, I can guarantee you my number one spot is going to stay the exact same. The Seattle Seahawks will be the number one spot this week in my power rankings. deservedly so. Most complete team on both sides of the football, discipline, special teams also making an impact, and they just got even better with a speedster in Rashid Shaheed. He's going to make impact not only on the offensive side of the ball in the run game, but as a deep threat in the pass game, opening things up for Jackson Smith and Jigba, opening things up for this running game, who had their best game of the season this week versus the Arizona Cardinals. And also in the special teams, he's going to be a punt returner and kick returner. And if you give him a lane, it's over. Nobody's catching him. I can't wait to see how they use him next week against the LA Rams. That's going to be a battle of two teams in my top 5 in the power rankings, because the Rams are going to move on up from number 5 to number 3. I got to move them to number 3, not number 2, because number 2 is going to the Philadelphia Eagles with that huge win versus the Green Bay Packers in Lambeau. That defense is playing lights out. They played an incredible game against Jordan Love and Josh Jacobs in this offense. They deserve a ton of credit. So they're number 2, Philadelphia Eagles fans, in my power rankings. If you feel like I'm in NFC-centric and I'm NFC biased, you're right. I am. I like to watch the NFC, and I don't think an AFC team is better than the NFC right now. The Patriots have a case. The Colts have a case. The Broncos could have a case, but all those teams, I'm afraid to tell you, are pretty flawed. And head-to-head matchup, the Seahawks beat the Patriots. It's a story for a different day, but we'll go down that rabbit hole when we get there. But number 2, I got the Philadelphia Eagles. Number 3, I got the Rams. Number 4, the New England Patriots stay exactly where they are, even though that was a huge win versus a really good Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. I thought that was their best signature win this season. Drake May played with poise, even when he was struggling with accuracy, still found a way to get it done. I thought that defense was scrappy. Very stout against the run, very, very scrappy against the pass, tight coverage. Christian Gonzalez continues to show he's one of the best corners in the National Football League. They're staying at 4. And number 5, with an MVP candidate in the backfield, the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor should be the NFL Player of the Year, the most valuable player, whatever you want to say. Because of how he's playing. 15 rushing touchdowns on the season already, 17 total, 244 yards this past game on 32 carries. That's an old school stat line. Giving the back 30 carries in a game, that's workmanlike. Again, Daniel Jones playing terrific football, leading the league in yardage, and them picking up Sauce Gardner, and another week for him to get tighter and figure out this defense. But had a really solid game. Could have had a pick 6 in this last game, but it ended up with a PBU. We'll see if they adjust this defense to really play to his strengths more, or if they stay with what Lou Anarumo has run for the majority of his tenure as a defensive coordinator, which is a lot of zone, fire zones, and things of that nature. But I'm looking forward to that. On the outside looking in, the Broncos, you'll have a chance to get back. The Bills, you cannot get your butts whooped by the Miami Dolphins and Tua Tagovailoa and expect to stay in the top 5 in my power rankings. You can't. I'm sorry. Josh Allen, I thought, played a solid game, but not good enough to win. They were able to keep James Cook in, keep him bottled up, and then they let Devin Achane run all over him to the tune of 174 yards, I believe it was. You got to get those things fixed before you're going to get back in my power rankings. As always, I appreciate you guys joining me. You could be anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I surely do appreciate it. We will see you next time. Hit that sub button if you're new.